Warning. The following episode contains discussion of disturbing themes, including alleged sexual assault and alleged sex trafficking. Listener discretion is strongly advised. Good evening, and welcome to Talking Smarks. My name is Josh. Today is January 25th, 2024. And before we get right into it, let me just say that this has been some of the most chaotic 36 hours, arguably in the history of the WWE, and that's saying a lot. I know that's something I have said multiple times throughout the course of this show, all the years that I've been making the show, but this just might take the cake. Even more than 2 years ago. Let me go ahead and dive right into it. I first got this announcement at about 5 a.m. my time yesterday, so I'll go ahead and give you the whole timeline from what I've experienced. Monday, 5 a.m. my time, it broke across all of social media that Monday Night Raw was going to be leaving the USA Network and leaving cable entirely in an unprecedented deal. Starting January of 2025, Monday Night Raw will be streaming on Netflix. This was a reported 10-year deal, allegedly worth $5 billion. On top of this, we are getting a reshuffling on where all of WWE's other programming is going to end up going. SmackDown is going to be leaving Fox, as Fox chose not to renew their deal to broadcast SmackDown. SmackDown will be moving to the USA Network, and NXT will be moving to the CW. This was kind of seen as... Everybody thought that this was going to happen, as we know that WWE and the CW have been in conversations for some time. There has been history with WWE programming on the CW, and then as well as the infamous NWA skit involving the Sinister Minister that could have potentially cost the NWA their television deal, because allegedly Power and other NWA shows were going to be making their way to the CW, and then after this segment aired, the NWA is being shown on the CW, but it's basically on the app. It's not on the actual television channel that the CW operates. So that was yesterday. And now we get into today. The biggest news, it seemed like, was going to be more and more discussion about, just how this deal was pulled off between Netflix and the WWE. This was about until 11 a.m. my time, and before I get into it, once again, I am throwing in a content warning. This following segment will contain distressing themes, including discussion of alleged sexual assault and alleged sex trafficking. Once again, listener discretion is advised. I will also not go into full detail because, if I'm being quite honest, it is extremely disgusting. The Wall Street Journal reports that Vince McMahon is accused of sex trafficking by a former WWE employee, alleging that she was basically lured in to Vince's trap with promises of job promotions, financial security, over time leading to more and more incredibly depraved demands of a sexual nature, not just with Vince, but with allegedly other staff members within the WWE. Allegedly, these assaults took place in WWE headquarters, in offices in the WWE headquarters building in Titan Towers. It was alleged that she was asked to create personalized sexual content in an effort to lure and recruit wrestlers to come to the WWE. One of the most high profile of which it was alleged that Vince was attempting to traffic the victim to, a quote-unquote former UFC heavyweight champion that the WWE was trying to re-sign. You can probably all figure out who that is. I myself will not say it because as of right now, this is all alleged. Allegedly, the victim was also forced to sign an NDA and was allegedly going to be paid $3 million in exchange for her silence, and she had only received $1 million of that money. This is all just absolutely insane. The details in these documents and in this story, I will not get into them. They are just... There is depraved, and then there's this. A couple of years ago, Vince was accused of sexual misconduct, having, and paying, wow, apologies, I cannot talk today, folks. It's a lot, honestly. Vince was alleged to have paid hush money to multiple women in exchange for their silence, forcing them to sign NDAs, all of which led to Vince's quote-unquote retirement when the investigations began to really take shape, only for Vince to weave his way back into WWE, basically strong-arm the board of directors into giving him his seat back, otherwise he would not approve any upcoming media rights deals, and in turn he got rid of the board members that were spearheading the investigation into him, basically a real-life episode of Succession. But now things are different. Now that the WWE has been sold, and Endeavor basically made TKO, which is merging the UFC and the WWE together, it is a much bigger company, a much higher profile company. This is a company still relatively in its infancy and having to deal with this. There was in a statement that was given out by a spokesperson for TKO. I'm pulling it up here for you now. Just give me one moment here. A spokesperson for TKO Group Holdings, the parent company of the WWE and the UFC, said in a statement, and I quote, "Mr. McMahon does not control TKO, nor does he oversee the day-to-day operations of WWE. While this matter predates our TKO executive team's tenure at the company, we take the victim's horrific allegations very seriously and are addressing this matter internally." It got their attention. This story is everywhere right now. If you want to look up the details of Vince's alleged depravities, go ahead, but you've been warned. They are disgusting. That's all I'm going to say, but just Google Vince McMahon if you are so inclined, and you will see them all. It is... Yes, a couple years ago, it is kind of a rehash, but now that we're getting these details, these extremely sickening details, I'm no fortune teller. I'm no journalist. I am just a guy with a wrestling podcast because he loves wrestling. I'm not sure what the future will hold. There is a very high possibility that I could end up doing even more episodes covering this as this story goes on. As of right now, no one knows what will happen. We have the Royal Rumble coming up this weekend. Arguably, the announcement of these allegations has obviously trumped any hype for the Royal Rumble. Sure, we get the advertisements still. I'm getting a ton of them on my phone right now. But obviously the thing on everyone's mind is what's going to happen next. What's going to happen to Vince? Yes, he doesn't oversee the WWE anymore. Doesn't really have a whole lot of true power left within the company. But the fact of the matter is, when people think of the WWE, they think of Vince McMahon. When people think of professional wrestling as a whole, the first thing on most casual fans' minds is Vince McMahon. Because yes, if it wasn't for Vince, we would not have the modern professional wrestling landscape that we have today. So it really is up to Endeavor, to TKO as a brand new company, and what they choose to do and what kind of statement do they want to make. Are they going to just give Vince a slap on the wrist? Are they going to make a statement and boot him and kick him out of the building and take away the keys and erase him from history like the WWE has done to other high-profile talent who may have had, let's just say, some pretty controversial or part of some pretty controversial events? I simply don't know. But I will keep you all informed as best I can. Yes, I know that I don't sound like my normal perky, happy self. And that's because, quite simply, I was hoping that all of this BS with Vince was done, that it was over. But obviously not. And I fear that this is really only the tip of the iceberg. So we'll see. I'll keep you all informed as best I can. And I do thank you all seriously so much for listening to this show. And you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you all so much.